If you're somebody who hates maths, respiratory medicine not for you.
Residency obviously is known for its challenges.
Everybody just used to scare you. One thing wrong and everybody's going to come attack you. Nobody ever actually takes an action.
Truth is, some of our best doctors in India are leaving.
Many of them cite the reason that they don't like the quality of life here, workplace security, the workplace culture, the thankless patient maybe.
Any one particular healthcare system abroad that you feel stood out to you?
They pay the doctors well.
Medical school doesn't really teach you the art of marketing/networking.
I don't think you can depend on somebody else for doing it for yourself because nobody would carve your success for you. Only you can do it for yourself. The point is, what are you selling them?
This has been a pretty consistent case with NEET PG getting delayed.
You should also see other options during this time. Try for other things like PLAB, USMLE. You should also look at those options.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Behind the Scrubs by Knya. Today we are very lucky to have Dr. Sidhaant Nangia. Dr. Sid is been a big friend of the brand Knya and been an early supporter, and we are very, very lucky to have him here. He is an MD in Pulmonology from DY Patil, Pimpri, Pune, then an MBBS from New Delhi. He has a passion for traveling and fitness, and today we are very, very lucky to have him with us in a fun conversation on residency, NEET PG, pulmonology, travel, and all things being a doctor. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Sid, and very excited to have you here and have a fun conversation about your life, your motivations, your inspirations, and anything you'd like to share with the audience. Should we start by talking about why you picked medicine, any regrets, and how the journey has been so far?
I actually never wanted to become a doctor. My parents are doctors, so I've seen their life. It's always been very like a hectic life. They're never there. You as like when you're, especially in the older time when you had doctor parents, they would never be there for their kids and everything. So I think just like a very busy, hectic life. And I've seen like my father studying till like 40, 50 years of age. So I never wanted that. Like I was like, it's too much. I can't. But I think everybody just assumed that I'll become a doctor because that whole that stereotype at that times. But invariably, I also kind of like ended up being a little smart. So I kind of I took PCMB in 11th, and from there I gave NEET, and then I ended up clearing NEET as well. So then I got like a rank of 6,000. I also don't know how I got it, but like I got it somehow. So from there I took medicine. And yeah, and here we are 10 years later. So from there it started. It was like almost like a fluke from where medicine started. But I think one life-changing event that happened with me at that time was that when I was in 12th class, there was a batchmate of mine. And that batchmate was a very nice soul, very nice person. But he had a neural tumor. So a tumor in the brain, like a brain tumor. So that, and the poor guy ended up passing away when he was in 12th class. That was a very young age and such a sad thing. But I think that kind of like motivated me to be very serious in life, and especially to be able to do something for people, like in any which way to help people in that sense. So I think that kind of was like the turning point for me and motivated me to ended up to being a little serious about medicine for sure.
Yeah. No, inspiring. I think there's everyone you ask on why they pick medicine, they'll always have that one story which inspires them, right? So, so today you have an MD in respiratory medicine, pulmonology. Were you always keen on taking pulmonology, or did you stumble upon it? Was it by choice? Did somebody inspire you? How do you think about it?
So I earlier wanted to take neurology, but after 5 years of MBBS and then 1 year of internship and then 1 year of NEET PG preparation, I just realized that by the time I'm going to enter postgrad, I'm going to be 26, 27. So by the time I come out of it, I'll be 29, 30 or whatever, 28. So I was like, this is too much. I can't do it. Like I can't just end up studying for like the next 6 years more. So somehow, fortunately in India, there's like a N branch for like 3 years of MD respiratory medicine. And at that time as well, where I was giving my PG exams, COVID, the first and second wave had happened. So the importance of respiratory medicine had just like shot up. everybody was talking about infectious diseases. Everybody was just talking about new infections that are coming up, especially with global warming. Every day you hear about some new viruses that are coming out. So I think just the importance of infectious diseases just came up. So, and then we also have like smoking now, vaping now, and pollution as well. There's just like ubiquitous everywhere across the country and across the world for that matter. And tuberculosis, which never dies. So in that sense, then I took like a more of a prudent decision, which are both of financially prudent as well, something that could work with my work-life balance, and that's why I took respiratory medicine.
Mm. And how was it? How was residency for you?
Oh, in terms of work, it's crazy. It's really fun because you get to see like a lot of diseases. Because in respiratory is very linked with most cases end up. A lot of cases end up being in the ICU. ICU goes towards ventilator, so you do end up seeing a lot of life and death situations. So it's very on the edge in that matter. So I think the ICU duties was really fun and really like informative, and you should learn a lot and thrilling also in that sense because every day a person's life is changing. Like one day somebody's extremely good, and then the next day something just happens and they pass away. And one day one person is extremely bad. Like you don't think that does this patient actually has any prognosis, but the next day that person somehow miraculously recovers. So I think with the ICU is very thrilling. So I think respiratory medicine did give that. Yes, sometimes you have that fear of TB, and but just having a good immunity like works in that sense. So yes, in terms of work, I had a lot of fun.
So residency obviously is known for its challenges, right? But having that, dealing with the toxic environment of maybe seniors, maybe professors, administrators, how do you deal with that, right? Since you're really fresh out of residency, what advice would you have to, either younger residents or interns who'll probably be like becoming residents soon?
Yeah, I think it's something which is there, and but it is dwindling down now. I feel when I had started my postgrad, people were just everybody just used to scare you. Like you do this way, one thing wrong, and everybody's going to come attack you. In terms of like your seniors, faculties, you should be knowing everything, and you should not even be knowing everything. It's like a very mixed in way that you should be knowing things, but you shouldn't be answering things. Like even if you're too smart, that is bad for you. So it's like a very like you always have to walk on eggshells, and no matter what you do, you might just end up offending somebody or the other, and you can't help it. So yes, initially my first year was like there was a lot of workload, a lot of caseloads, and it's kind of very like 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. kind of a shift. So it was very crazy, and I hated every bit of it. Now when I look back on it, yeah, I can romanticize all the struggle and the hard work of it. But yeah, I wouldn't want to go back to it in any way. Yes, it is. It has its own thrill, but okay, it's like for some time, well and good. You can't live a life like that forever. So, as far toxicity is concerned, honestly, people say that you go report to a higher authority, but whatever I've seen, it never like unless it goes like very higher authority and the entire world is involved. Now you have like the social media is involved. It nobody ever actually takes an action. It's always like कि ठीक है ये तो tradition ही है थोड़ा सहलो करके. So I feel like even now I think when postgrads things were being discussed, a lot of people were like they were releasing list of colleges for like these colleges are toxic and everything. I but like sometimes like beggars can't be choosers. Like if you haven't got the rank, it's not like you can decide what college you can get. But I think you can just see, you can ask the people there, you can ask your seniors. I think don't ask your seniors, they will never tell you a right answer because everyone would be like कि अगर मैं फंसा हूँ तो मैं क्यों इसको क्यों ना फंसाऊँ. So I think you should ask some other people there, the interns maybe, or some other people from some other department. Ask them about how their department is, how the department that you want to go is, how that branch is, and how the level of toxicity is. I think that's something that you can figure out for yourself, and if you can manage that, well and good. If you can't, then figure out the other colleges because yeah, it is reducing. But if you expect it to not be there completely, at least for the first 3 to 4 months, I think that's a little far fetched.
One thing that's spoken about a lot, or maybe not spoken about a lot, is that the patient load is a large amount in the OPD, right? How many patients did you meet on a daily basis, and how was that experience?
Yes. So I think it's very variable from day to day basis and month to month basis as well. Like the winter or just the summer, the rainy seasons would have like a lot of patient load. So it could go from 40 to 50 to even 100 patients per day. When you go to like a peripheral center, like ours is still, ours is not a peripheral center. When you go to a little more peripheral centers, like a community center, then you could have at least 200 patients per day.
Wow.
So yes, there are like a lot of patients. How do you handle it? Yeah, you're not able to give time to everybody. I think that's there, and I think that's a problem which is everywhere across the country. You can't help it. I think the max you can do is like listen to them properly. Because I've seen like a lot of people just don't listen to them. You're like, okay, you have cough. Okay, this is what you take in. Like, especially at community centers, they have these list of medications. You have this, you have this, you have this. You take this, you take this, you take that. You take that. So people don't really end up seeing what the symptom are. Like somebody having cough is just not like a cough hai. It could actually be a cough because something else which might require some other intervention. So in that sense, I think it's very important that even if you're giving 10 minutes to the patient, because that's all you could give, at least give it properly and at least listen in those 10 minutes. Now once you get enough experience, you understand that, because see, at the end, when you have 200 patients, not it's very rare that all 200 of them have, like they've all come with a bad infection. It's almost like 30 have just come from like they're just fatigued from the day before. They were overworked, they're dehydrated, and that's why they've come on that day. So a lot of these patients you were able to filter out. So I think that's why I think it's very important to stratify patients accordingly. That you think that this patient requires a little more attention than that patient. So I think it's very important to listen to them properly what they're trying to say.
And what is the technology stack that is being used in these hospitals, right? Or at least in your residency, or what you're hearing, what your friends have? Because if you deal with 150 patients a day, is it just physical paperwork? Are you using softwares? Is there like a central hospital management system that you're leveraging? How is that?
Okay, okay. In our hospital, it's pretty well equipped in that matter. You have a central. There's a patient's number, PNR number. So from there, anybody can trace the entire patient reports, all investigations. With time, it has become more and more advanced in terms of I think they even brought out an app now where you can literally put a PNR number and you can get all reports and everything, and it's on your phone. So in that sense, it's very centralized and it's very interlinked. So in terms of our hospital, yes. In terms of, you talk about a community hospital where I've also worked for some time, there's just all paperwork. There's no number, no specific patient identification code, nothing like that.
Every doctor has, that one case that they just don't forget for the good or the bad reason, right? Which is that case for you, and what did you learn from it? If you can share more about it, it'll be very helpful.
Yeah, definitely. So our hospital, it kind of prides itself that it does lung transplants. And lung transplant is something that's like a very upcoming thing. We always hear about kidney transplants, and it's become very common, liver transplant. But lung transplant is something that's very happening now. So I remember when I was a resident, like 2 years back, when I was in my second year of residency, I was working in the ICU, and this young girl, she was like a pharmacology student, and she was about 22, 23 years old, and she was being posted for lung transplant. She had some congenital defect, ventral septal defect, and because of that, she required a heart and lung transplant. So she was being posted for a lung transplant. Now, while in the ICU, you counsel the patients every night and every morning. And while one of the evening shifts, I spoke to her in general, like, how are you and how's your day going and everything. She was telling me about her life and dreams and everything, what she wants to do. And she was like, I just want to like roam around in New York or something. And it was like, and that kind of like hit me. I was like, here, this person is 22 years old. She doesn't know she's going to live tomorrow or not, because like a procedure like heart and lung transplant is very, very like it is very, the successful rate is very low as well. Mortality rate is high as well. So this person does not know if they're going to live tomorrow, but they already have all these hopes and dreams. Here somebody like me have the resources, and I'm constantly ranting, whining about life in medical, life at work, and that kind of like hit me in that sense that even if I understand the too much toxicity and the overloaded work, but at the same time, there's also the kind of impact that you can provide as a doctor on lives of people. I think that's something that you should recognize and be grateful for, that you were able to do that. So I think that kind of like changed my perspective for good.
Thank you for sharing that. Out of everything that you've experienced so far, what has been one of the most rewarding aspects, particularly with regard to the journey within respiratory medicine, right? that you feel like maybe other branches may not have had?
I think in our case, one definitely like it's almost like an end branch. At the same time, I love medicine. Medicine, if you have to go into medicine, it's your 6 years are gone because like you have to do PG and then DM. But here in ResMed, I could do a lot of medicine as well. There are some interventions. So a medical aspect was there, surgical aspect was there, and ICU, so critical care was there. So it's like an amalgamation of everything in that sense. And like yes, you do learn a lot. I learned a lot. So I think that's something that helped me. If I compare it to some other branch, like maybe surgery is too extensive, there's too much of workload, and you don't even get a lot of hands-on. In a lot of like big hospitals. So here we got a lot of procedures as well. So in all of those sense, I think that kind of like helped me. And as at the same time, the major factor, the USP was the fact that after 3 years, I don't have to be in that. Um, Competition for a post grad or a DM. I can like do like fellowships and everything after that.
As a resident, what was the definition of work-life balance for you, and how did you kind of manage doing multiple things at once?
So work life balance kind of changes from year to year. When you're in first year, second year, third year, they're quite different. First year is all scut work. You're just bound to the hospital. That's why they kind of call it a resident. You just have to live around the hospital. That time the work life balance was that 9 to 5 we used to have OPD, and then at 5 o'clock, and then around 8 p.m. we used to have the
Yeah.
ward rounds. So around 5 o'clock, so you would need at least 2 hours of preparation for the ward rounds, the pre-pep. So around 5 o'clock, I would go to the gym for like half an hour or something. That's the only time I could get.
NEET PG 2024 was counseling was delayed. NEET PG 2025 is scheduled to happen in a couple of months, but unfortunately we don't know. And this has been a pretty consistent case, right? With NEET PG getting delayed, and often students just find out few days before, maybe the night before. One, what are your thoughts on that? And second is, what advice would you have to students who are dealing with situations like this?
I remember when I had my NEET PG, even mine was delayed. It was 2022, I think. It was delayed by 6 months. So in that 6 months, it's kind of like you're just stuck. You don't know, should I go give other exams? Should I kind of like go travel? You're very stuck in that sense because you don't know what is going to happen with you. Like when are they going to announce it? They might just announce it like that, and then oh, you have to from tomorrow you have to figure out the colleges that you have to give. So all those things are there for sure. I think the only advice I can give is one, that immediately your exams get over, you should go plan a trip. So at least the amount of time you've given for NEET, you should reward yourself in some manner. So at least for a week or something, you should plan a trip at least immediately after the exam. You delay it, and then the counseling, then you just stuck between the counseling and everything. Apart from that. Just that you should also see other options during this time if you want to see that if your rank is not good enough, or if you think that you can do better, then you might as well just start studying again after giving yourself that enough break. Or you could also do like try for other things like PLAB, USMLE. You should also look at those options if that is feasible for you. So I think in that process you should do all of these things well. At the same time, also see what all colleges you're going to get at your rank and how these colleges are and how the life can be at that time. So I think utilize the time, and at the same time, like see, and I tell a lot of people because what happens is that while in this rut, they end up feeling like, oh, the council should happen now. The council should happen now, and I'm like, just be grateful you're getting these days. Enjoy it as much as you can, because once it starts, your 6 months or the first 1 year is gone. You can't like do anything in that time. So might as well enjoy whatever little time you're getting right now. So that is well.
Who do you think is suited to take pulmonology, and who is not suited to take pulmonology?
Everybody suited to take pulmonology, I think, is something that is having like a lot of widespread application. There's a lot of infectious disease. It's not just in India, it's in every country. There's a lot of smoking. If not smoking, there's vaping. If not vaping, there's something else. There's a lot of smoking out there, and a lot of cases of asthma, a lot of allergies happening. So there are a lot of applications for it. And if not even that, there's also a lot of lifestyle things happening. There are a lot of alcoholics causing sleep problems, people who just have some surgical deformation that's causing sleep problems. So you have sleep, you have asthma, you have smoking. So I think lung cancer is some the third or the fourth most common cancer in India. So in that sense, you have a lot of applications, and at the same time, you get the opportunity to do some amount of surgical,
Yeah.
so some amount of procedures, some amount of critical care. So you do get like a amalgamation of a lot of things.
You know, about personality traits and branches, I was having a conversation with an anesthetist, right? And she mentioned that, being calm, being a quick decision maker, very important to be an anesthesiologist. What would you say are those probably personality traits in pulmonology or respiratory medicine which you think is absolutely critical for success?
I don't think anybody would say that being aggressive would get you this branch is good for you. But yes, I think everybody. I think quick decision making is one thing, and I also feel like in respiratory medicine, it's important to be a little out of box thinking, because a lot of diseases, the lung almost ends up being the end point of diseases. That you might be having, say, arthritis. You didn't know that you had arthritis. You just had like
Got it.
the gene of arthritis or whatever, but that caused some lung infections. So I think that little bit of out of box thinking is very important.
Yep.
So the creativity, out of box thinking, and also critical skills. I think you should like a little bit of maths. It has a lot of maths in it. A lot of doctors don't like maths, but I think respiratory medicine has a lot of maths in it, which I kind of personally love. So a lot of numbers. So yeah, if you're somebody who hates maths, respiratory medicine not for you.
So I understand you've traveled to 31 countries,
Yeah.
and you'll be traveling to your 32nd country tomorrow. That's incredible, right? And with this global exposure, how is your perspective of healthcare or becoming a doctor changed or evolved?
So to me personally, and I know that a lot of people talk about the healthcare abroad being very good. I feel like the Indian doctors have a lot of potential. Like I think the reason why we have a potential is not because the system is amazing, but I think it's all because they themselves want a lot of potential for themselves. They end up studying even in our residency. We never studied just like Indian guidelines. You're not treating a patient that if you come to me tomorrow, I'm not only treating you of what the Indian system said. I'm treating you whatever the world system says, whatever the world guidelines are. So we in India, because also of our hold over the language of English, we are very ingrained in understanding what is happening across the world and trying to bring it to the country. So yes, but I've seen like a lot of drawbacks as well outside. You have all these patients who are waiting. I've heard a lot of stories. Like everybody in Canada is scared to like go to the doctor because one person sees you today, they give say a wrong diagnosis. The next person you're going to get to see is after 3 months. Here today you get admitted to a hospital, you'll see a world level doctor the next morning, and all your things would be done maybe in one day. Obviously, the income parity comes in that question, that some people are privileged enough to have that option. Even at government level, I think you do get at least some amount of medical attention that you might not get at an equivalent level abroad. So I
Yeah.
think in that sense, India is much better.
Any one particular healthcare system abroad that you feel stood out to you, and you're like, oh, you know what, maybe we can bring back some of those kind of learnings to India?
And they pay the doctors well. So in that sense, yes, sure. But even the American system, I think they're very advanced. I mean, like every time I see some random tweet or some random post, the intervention that they're doing or some procedure that they're doing is always well advanced from whatever we're not doing right now. So I think they're very well advanced. I think they also invest a lot and they give a priority to a lot of research. So they end up harboring that culture where everybody wants to like research, do original research, and bring some innovation. So, and it's just not about, okay, you're treating a patient, you're going back home, that's it. No, it's about a holistic approach. You're seeing the patient from head to toe, you're seeing everything about the patient. Even if not one person, at least the entire team of the hospital and the hospital in general. So I think in that sense, the American system, I personally find really nice.
But there's a thought, and there's probably a fair bit of kind of conversation of the fact that Indian doctors is just the best, right? In terms of the experience and with the diversity of experience that doctors here get, the West they just don't get it. And truth is, some of our best doctors in India are leaving and kind of moving to the US, and there's some kind of brain drain happening. Any thoughts around that? Or?
many of them cite the reason that the brain drain is happening because they don't like the quality of life here. Again, also there comes the entire workplace security, the workplace culture, the thankless patients maybe. But I feel like anybody who wants to do good work, like you said, like you mentioned as well, you can in India as well. Yes, maybe I would have seen abroad for the sole reason that I would be able to make more money. I might be at the forefront of some advanced research. But I feel like now in India, we're getting that culture. You have so many health startups. I randomly come across some interesting thing happening in health, even in India in that matter. Even if it happened in the US first, okay, but some people are bringing it to India as well. So in that sense, if you're somebody who's just not going to US just for the money part of it, India is, and it's not like you can't make good amount of money for yourself doing good work in India as well. There's so many patients, there's so much of caseload, and there's so much diversity of cases. Like almost even at postgrad level, at like say one hospital in Pune, I am seeing such cases that I've only read about say once in my life in my textbooks and undergrad. So yes, like you can't even imagine the amount of cases that you can randomly see in a Indian hospital as well. So I think in that sense, yes, you have a lot of exposure here, and if you want to do good work, you can do it here as well.
What would you say like the career opportunities for respiratory medicine graduates, MD respiratory medicine post they graduate?
So a lot of people consider DM. So it's like there's MD respiratory medicine and the DM pulmonology. It's almost the course is very similar, except with DM pulmonology you get a little more work experience. So those 3 years are considered as work experience as well. So say a hospital has to hire me today. I'm just an MD. A DM would have 3 years of work experience over me. Plus they might be able to do more of critical care, sleep medicine, which I can also practice, but I would have to do more, a little bit of fellowships or certificate courses to be more well equipped at that. So in that sense, yeah, most people end up doing DM for the sake of maybe a higher salary, a better job profile, a job qualification at a place at a higher job level. But with MD respiratory medicine as well, I think there's a good there are a lot of opportunities there. A lot of hospitals are making their respiratory departments that they are coming up, and like I said, a lot of caseload, and so a lot of, and even in the MD medicine, there's so much of now, so many branches in specialized medicine that almost everybody I think would rather prefer going to a specialist, just like a general physician. So if you're a specialized person, any branch, you have that amount of patient load. So I've seen some good 20-30 patients you can get easily at any place in India with just MD respiratory medicine every day.
One thing doctor said is in our conversations with medical professionals, doctors, it's come out that the earlier years of MBBS have been very critical, building blocks to kind of hone the values and skill sets to make them successful doctors, medical professionals. How was your MBBS experience? What did you feel you learned? Were there any regrets that you had from the MBBS experience?
I had fun. My college was Jamia Hamdard. It's one of very good colleges in Delhi, because we don't have a lot of semi-private colleges in Delhi. Within Delhi, they're usually away from the city, some 1 or 2 hours away from the city. So in that sense, I think it was a really good, I would say like a work-life balance kind of a thing, because I could like attend classes and I would just like roam around Delhi after that or during classes. But yeah, I think in that sense. Also, a lot of faculty that were there were from Aligarh Muslim University. So I had a lot of good things to learn. I had a lot of experiences. Um, I saw a very different kind of a lifestyle. There are people. I mean, I was from like a very sheltered kind of a background in Delhi, and then you come to people from all walks of life, all cities across the country. So you do learn a lot. I mean, I had a lot of interaction with people, especially from UP and everything, and you do learn a lot about the culture, lifestyle. In terms of medicine, yes, our college was really good in that sense that we would learn a lot. We were very academically focused, so yes, it did help me, and I think uh, when I was an intern, the colleges had almost like 3 to 4 years to it when it had just come up. So when I was an intern, we didn't have that many PGs. So I used to do almost like a PG level work, even at my internship. Like I used to handle documentation and everything at a PG level. I was doing all that PG work that I did after in my PG. In that sense, when I entered PG, I kind of had like a more of like a head start. I already knew what all to be done because I'd already done that in my internship. I think that's something that's really fun because what happens in a lot of colleges make an intern almost feel like all you have to do is take sample from one place to another. They don't make them feel like doctors. Like you don't feel like a doctor that, oh, I'm seeing a patient, I'm diagnosing a disease, I'm treating it. No, you're just doing lab work, you're just doing blood work. So I think in that sense I never had to go through that. I always had to like see a patient, diagnose, treat at my even at intern level. So I think that's something that I'm really grateful for, and I think it was just exciting. Regret, I would say, would be that when I now look at when I was in a postgrad, I've shifted to another city. So you do learn a lot about yourself. You learn about how you handle the house, how do you handle the finances, how do you handle just street smartness, how do you manage things, moving from one place to another, just roaming around in a city, all of that, and independence most importantly. I mean, you just like you have to be independent. Like you have to learn to just be okay with being yourself, and even at your lowest self, with nobody around you and to help you out. I think that's something I learned very late in my postgrad years. So I don't know how would I've been in my undergrad, but yes, I think that might be just a little bit of regret that I would have gone to some other city for my undergrad, would have helped me learn a lot.
No, one thing also that's come up in conversation multiple times, right, is that MBBS, medical school, maybe residency doesn't really teach you the art of communication and the art of maybe marketing slash networking, right, which is often taught maybe in business school, right? What are your thoughts on that? Have you picked up that skill set? If not, how do you plan on kind of honing that skill set as you start building your practice?
Definitely, I think that's something very important. I remember I was having this conversation with somebody where I was like, I think I should also learn a little bit of MBA. I should do like either certificate course, something like an online course for MBA, so that I should also learn how to expand my practice. So then that time they told me that why do you have to learn it? You ask somebody else to do it for you. But at the end, I don't think you can depend on somebody else for doing it for yourself because nobody would carve your success for you. Only you can do it for yourself. Yes, at hospital college levels, we're now learning communication, but like we didn't have that much of that course even in our time. It's like say 2015. So people are now learning communication of how to deal with the patient. I think that's something very important. I've seen like when you talk about marketing, that's something that I've always seen. I remember I have this friend of mine. She had a some shoulder pain she had. Now she went to a normal orthopedic and she went to an homeopath. The homeopath sat with her 40 minutes, explained to her the entire physiology of why she's having the shoulder pain, what could have happened. The orthopedic looked at her for 10 minutes and then gave her some medication and didn't explain to her that much. Now, you can go into the factors of what exactly happened here. He might not have had time or whatever. But the point is, to that person, it's all about what are you selling them. You might be having a lot of qualification, but if you can't explain that to the other person out there of what you've done, what is happening, why is it happening, because now everybody has learned. You have Google on your phone. You're seeing things. I mean, and it's very normal. If tomorrow I am having some random knee pain here, I'll first Google I'm having some knee pain. It's just a reflex now. So in that sense, I think it's very important to market yourself properly. That if you want to capture patients, because now the competition is too high. There's some random person would 1 year diploma course and he's like, oh, I'm a doctor as well and I can treat you. So I think now you have to understand the fact that you have to compete with people who have a lot of other degrees as well and competing with the same patient that you might be wanting to have and you might be wanting to treat. Yes, at the end, your degrees separate you, but you should know how to tell them that, you know what, these are the degrees and that's what I've learned and that's how I can help you better than everybody else out there. So that's something that's very important. I think learning marketing, communication, networking is very, very important in today's time as well.
You know, artificial intelligence is moving at a very fast pace, right? Even at Kanya, we've been incorporating a lot of the tools, right, and the LLM models to make our jobs a little bit better and faster, right? Whether it's chatbots, whether it's in video editing, whether it's kind of in screening resumes. Have you come across any kind of artificial intelligence tool that has made your job a little better? Are you seeing your colleagues or maybe hospitals kind of pick up these tools to kind of make their jobs a little bit better?
Yeah, they stopped reading textbooks and they start reading ChatGPT. But yeah, apart from that, I think definitely like AI has come in a long way. I think I was just talking to this friend of mine who's in Bombay as well. She's working on some project where AI is being used to detect lung nodule in some random x-rays. So you say there are some 200, 300 x-rays in some village somewhere, and those x-rays will then be scanned through an AI model, and the AI would try to find out whether there's a lung nodule in it. Now that lung nodule could be an infectious nodule, could be a tubercular nodule, could be cancerous. So then that the AI then predicts based on the person's age, the symptoms, history, whether what could be the cause for it, what could cause the lung nodule. So in that sense, I think AI is coming a long way. That's something that I've seen and I've read about, and I'm very fascinated by it. AI has helped us. Now there are devices where you can just you don't need like an entire stethoscope. You can just put that device on the part of the lung, and it can decipher what lung sound it is, what could be the cause for it. So in that sense, it's going a lot away from like just rote learning, and so yes, AI is helping in that sense. Even for our exams, I think a lot of time it happens is that you can't read all the 100 books just one day before the exam. So AI helps to summarize and bring out all the text that is important. And I've also seen these AI apps where I remember for my note taking, like if I have to make notes and I'm while I'm gymming. So what I would just like read a chapter, and that AI will itself just make notes and via my voice recordings, and even make flashcards. So I was like very amusing all these things. So I think AI is coming up a long way in that sense.
Well, Dr. Sid, that's it from my side. No more questions. Any questions you'd like to ask me about, probably about Kanya, anything about my journey? We have a fun rapid fire round, which we'll get to, but I thought maybe in case you have any questions or any curiosity around how we build Kanya.
For sure, I think I would like to know is what kind of difficulties do you face at Kanya?
Sitting in my chair at Kanya, honestly, it's the difficulty comes up every day, right? I think it's not a smooth path of success is never a straight line. It's a wiggly path, but as long as you're moving in the right direction, I think it's the right one. But the problems are galore, right? Whether it's probably team management, whether it's kind of managing compliance, accounting compliances, legal compliances, probably getting the marketing campaign, the communication right. We have a website and a mobile app, along with now we're live on Blinkit and Amazon. Dealing with these platforms on a daily basis have the nuances as well. So I think problems come up every day, but I think that's what makes the role so fun, because I think problem solving, if you do not enjoy problem solving, you should not be an entrepreneur, right? I think you have to really enjoy the problem. You have to take it up and kind of, like, how can I solve this problem, right? If you're looking to mentor a team member and you feel like probably they're not picking up some things, take it up as a challenge, right? How can you kind of, align with them, probably bring them up to speed, maybe invest in them so they can kind of grow, so they can grow themselves and probably can benefit kind of the vertical as well, right? Like when we first launched an app at Kanya, we had no idea that why would doctors buy scrubs or nurses buy scrubs on an app. But fast forward like a year later, we have like more than 2.5, 3 lakh downloads, right? And but it was about getting the user journey right, understanding who would click where, what would the retention be, and yeah, I think it's a bunch of unknowns, but it's fun. And I think when you have a very capable team, which we're lucky to have, who are passionate about what we do, I think it makes it kind of worth it. What really helps is actually that Kanya is built on a mission, that we are kind of supporting doctors like yourself who are doing the real work, and we help you guys perform a little bit better, right? I think that mission is what makes the job a little bit easier, because we know what we're working towards.
That's pretty nice. What's something that you hate doing as part of this entrepreneur?
About the job.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't enjoy doing compliance. I think accounting compliance, and I totally understand why the government has set all these kind of policies, but it's a bit challenging, right? I think labor laws are different in every state. Now that we have stores in different states, to keep up with laws in every state, those nuances in the compliance are a little challenging, and they kind of get a little frustrating at times. But I think the only way around it is to kind of align the systems, because eventually we have to kind of align with the systems and that's set by the government of India, and so that we can kind of reach up the bigger mission.
That's pretty nice.
Let me kind of get to the fun rapid fire. Favorite medical TV show?
House.
House. Yeah. If you could go back to 2015 in a time machine, Would Dr. Sid choose medicine again?
Now I think, yeah, sure, for sure.
For sure.
Yeah.
Not a different profession.
No. They have good job security.
Name one country where you'd love to practice medicine apart from India.
Antarctica.
Antarctica.
Big continent.
What is your choice of beverage before a long day of work?
Oh, black coffee.
Black coffee. What is your choice of beverage after a long day of work?
The one I can say, Diet Coke.
Where do you enjoy creating content more, X or Instagram?
I think Twitter is very unfiltered. I kind of get to learn also a lot. I think Instagram is very flowery. Everybody very nice to each other. So I think Twitter is very scary also sometimes. You never know what's going to go the wrong way. So Twitter.
If you had to describe your MBBS journey in one word, what would it be?
Never ending.
They say, right, it's Ram ke vanvas ke barabar hai. What's one piece of advice you'd give to your younger self before starting MD?
You should have focused more on fitness while you were in MBBS and less on studying.
Favorite country that you visited and why?
I would say Turkey. I think is just like really beautiful, and even Croatia for that matter. I think it's just like there's a lot of, because I'm a huge Game of Thrones fan. So for me, Croatia in that sense was just like really beautiful. There's mountain, there's sea, there's forts, and you could just jump from one fort into the sea. So I think Croatia for that for sure.
Favorite Game of Thrones character since you mentioned?
Ned Stark, of course.
Fitness or travel? If you could pick one passion, which would it be?
Oh, travel.
One habit that helped you stay sane during residency?
Working out and making reels, maybe, I guess.
Which is your favorite restaurant in Pune?
So not exactly restaurant, but it was like a cafe/bar that I used to go to daily all day.
Where is it in Pune?
It's in Korka Park.
And your favorite cafe/restaurant or eating place in Delhi?
This sushi place, Yumi.
What's your dream medical setup or hospital environment you'd love to work in?
Oh, I think I saw this random hospital one day. It's actually AFMC Pune, where they had an entire physiotherapy center, which was linked to the respiratory center, and the physiotherapy had like an entire gym equipment, because you have to like do a lot of gymming as well. So I think that was really cool. I think if I would create a hospital, the entire top floor would have like a gym, a wellness center that every doctor should go first in the morning and then come to the ward. Because if you're not healthy as a patient, I would not come to you. As simple as that.
If you had a chance to collaborate with any doctor or content creator, who would it be and why?
Dr. Mike, I guess. I think when I started doing it, I think he was just like the inspiration at that time. So yeah, Dr. Mike.
Well, Dr. Sid, it was an absolute pleasure. Really enjoyed our conversation. Anything that you'd like to share about your journey that maybe we've not covered?
No, I think it's been like, crazy. I think when you just never get to know. I remember when 2015, when you applied, and I applied for MBBS, everybody just told me that, it will still happen. And now here we are, 2025, 10 years down. Like this year, I complete my 10 years in medicine. And I didn't even realize when this got over like that.
Wow.
And like I was mentioning earlier as well, and for the last few years, since when COVID had happened, when I got to know about your company, your brand, I think what had happened was that a lot of times during the hospital, I would have sometimes a lot of body issues where I might not be like, but sometimes my clothes are not fitting, or I might be having like some gaining period or the leaning period, and you just don't have the energy to find out every shirt to wear, every pant to wear every day. So I think in that sense, scrubs, I think, and plus like, I don't know, say whatever, like people find like guys in scrubs hot, so like that works out for you as well. So yeah, like I think in that sense, scrubs really like helped me face all those issues as well, self-image issues as well. So that's been like a huge part of me. I would literally force everybody, okay, use my code, like buy that scrub, and I have like all the colors in that sense, because I would also like to experiment, like for like making content, like one day with this scrub, just different. So I think it's really fun, and in that sense, you have different variation, different clothes. So yeah, I think that's just become a huge part of it. Even now the problem is that we don't have that concept where in the hospital you have to wear scrubs. You only wear it during the OT duty or the surgeries. So I think that could be more popularized if that happens. It's well and good, because it also helps in the infection protocol that you're just changing clothes in the hospital, wearing scrubs, and then you're coming out, you're not bringing any infection with you.
Yeah.
So I think they serve a fashion as well as a very preventive thing as well. So I think that's very important.
Well, it was an absolute pleasure, Dr. Sid, to have you on board. And so thank you again for joining us. And today, if you're interested in listening to Dr. Sid and learning more about respiratory medicine and about the journey of residency, please watch the show. And I'm sure you'll really enjoy it. Please like, subscribe, and share. If you want to get in touch with Dr. Sid, his Instagram and Twitter profile will be below. Feel free to reach out to him for advice or any other guidance. Thank you so much for tuning in.